Harv Aronson of the Total Sports Recall podcast here to share a winning strategy for Mother's Day from our partners at Sterling Roastery. Behind every legendary athlete is a support system that never quits, and for most of us, that's Mom. This Mother's Day, give her a morning ritual that's as consistent as her support. Sterling Roastery coffee is sourced from around the world and roasted multiple times a week to ensure unbeatable freshness in every cup. Instead of a one-time gift, draft a winning team for her kitchen with a Sterling coffee subscription. It's the warm-up she deserves, delivered straight to her door. From the very first whistle of the day to the final buzzer, let her wake up, warm up, and Sterling up. Visit sterlingsoap.com to start her subscription today. That's STIRLING soap.com.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I am your host, Rick Loayza, and this is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old school basketball to a new school audience. And today we bring you the story of Johnny Beckman. He played professionally from 1914 until 1941, which is 27 years of professional basketball. That is an incredibly long career, and he played into his late 40s. Now, if I were to take you in a time machine back to the 1920s or 1930s, there would have been some basketball people who would have named Johnny Beckman as the greatest basketball player of all time. Of course, the game itself was only around 30 years old, so it was not like there was this long history from which to choose a player to be named the greatest of all time. But Johnny Beckman was one of the early superstars of basketball. Unfortunately, we do not know a lot about Johnny Beckman because records were not kept well back then. It was not like professional basketball today, where every box score is kept with incredible detail, even down to the second that a rebound took place or a free throw was made. Back in the 1920s, box scores were hardly kept at all. If there was any box score at all, it just told you how many points each player had and the final score of the game. And much of that paperwork was thrown away at the end of each season. That is one of the reasons it is so difficult to provide a full background on some of these early stars of the game. Today, not only are the box scores kept with detail, as I mentioned, but every game that a modern NBA player participates in is recorded on over 20 cameras, and there are hundreds and hundreds of interviews with each player. Today, we understand the necessity of documenting professional athletes and professional sports leagues. A fan of basketball 100 years from now will be able to come back and pull up video of every shot that Steph Curry ever made and watch every interview that he ever did. There will be a wealth of information available to future generations, but not so for the players of the early 20th century. Johnny Beckman was one of those old players, so I will share what we have. In one source that I found, it said that Beckman was born in 1892, just 1 year after the game of basketball was invented. In another source, it says that he was born 3 years later in 1895. Honestly, I am not sure which one is correct. It is very possible that at some point he may have lied about his age in order to sign a basketball contract, making it seem that he was older than he really was. And that was not completely uncommon back then. He was not the largest player by today's standards. He stood 5'9" or 176 centimeters. He only weighed 165 pounds. By today's standards, that is tiny. That is smaller than Allen Iverson. But players from 100 years ago were nowhere near as tall as they are today, and they had yet to discover weight training. Now, he was somewhere between the ages of 16 and 19, depending on when he was born, when he started to play professionally for the Opals of the Hudson County, New York League. Now, back in that day, new professional teams were starting every year and old teams were going out of business. But the really good players, like Beckman, simply found a new team to play for. Beckman jumped around playing for different teams in the New York League, the Pennsylvania League, the Eastern League, and the Philadelphia League. However, when he really began to flourish was when he joined the original Celtics. There was a team from 1914 called the New York Celtics, but they disbanded due to World War I. But after the war, the team was reformed as the New York Original Celtics, and there he was joined by Dutch Dennert and Swede Grimstead. The original Celtics were an absolute juggernaut. They were destroying teams left and right, and in their first full season with Beckman on the team, the original Celtics went 65-4. Beckman was a ball handler. He was considered the best dribbler of his day and a deadly outside shooter, and he was incredibly quick. He was able to get down court while dribbling the ball more quickly than guys could get down the court without the ball. He was also the best free throw shooter of his day, and in some leagues, a team could select anyone on the court to shoot free throws when there was a foul. Now, just imagine if that was possible in today's NBA. The Golden State Warriors would have an absolute field day. No matter which Warrior got fouled, it would be always Steph Curry to step up and shoot those free throws. That would make any team think twice about fouling anyone on the Warriors while Steph was on the court. But that is the way that basketball was back then, at least in some parts of the country. Beckman was simply too much for some defenses to handle. Around 1927, the original Celtics sold his contract to the Baltimore team from the American Basketball League for an unheard of sum of $10,000. That was the largest transaction in basketball history at the time. Surely, no player was worth $10,000. And that was just for the contract. Baltimore still had to pay Beckman for his services as a player. Everywhere he went, his teams found success. He was just that good. I just wish we had more information and details about his actual statistics. But by all accounts, he might have been the best player that basketball had ever seen as of 1930. And that is a special place. Not many players have ever been considered the greatest of all time. Sure, you have guys like George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan, who were all considered in their day to be the greatest of all time. And if you go back 100 years to the early days of basketball, Johnny Beckman was one of those types of players. Again, I just wish we had more on him. I don't want to see the name of Johnny Beckman disappear. He was one of those pre-NBA superstars who deserves credit for advancing the game and displaying a level of dribbling and shooting skill that was copied and then built upon. Each generation of players build upon the skills developed by the previous generation. Beckman was part of the second generation of basketball players who advanced the game from something where the final score of the game was in the teens to something where the final score of the game was in the 30s or sometimes even in the 40s. They took basketball beyond the game where they did a tip-off after every made basket, and they just let the game move more freely. Anyway, here's to Johnny Beckman, one of the very early greats of the game. Well, that is it for today. Join us next time when we share another story from basketball history. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. There you'll find short historical posts, and I'll also announce there when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care, and see you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Gridiron, Japan!
Hello, Sports History Network listeners. I'm Greg St. James, and I'm inviting you to take a journey with me across the Pacific with Gridiron Japan Radio. I'm joined by a powerhouse team to bring you the best of football here in the land of the rising sun. We've got John Gunning of Inside Sport Japan and the Japan Times, star international and ex-League quarterback Aaron Ellis, and we're thrilled to welcome the new duo from the newly relaunched From the 55-Yard Line podcast, which is now Gridiron America Radio, co-host Dave Solinsky and Mike Tackett. We cover the Japanese X-League as well as the college game and interview the players and coaches who are making a splash here on the far side of the world. Subscribe today and help us celebrate the global game.